Well, good morning, everybody, and welcome to the October edition of Coffee with Cathy. It's a pleasure to join you this morning and to bring some news and views from the Kaiser community to all of you. We hope you enjoy the program, and please let us know if there are folks that you would like to see featured on the upcoming edition of Coffee with Cathy. It's a pleasure to welcome our regular contributors, Pastor Jose Dominguez from Luz de Valle Church, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District, Claire Duran for the Kaiser Chamber Board of Directors. Not able to join us today are Diane Watson from Chemeketa Community College. She sends her regards, and Ramiro Navarro from Chariots, but they will be back next month to get you the latest on our partner special districts serving the people of Kaiser. And with us today is a special guest, Anthony Valise, founder of Poder. So looking forward to his presentation this morning to let you know about this fabulous organization and the work being done for people in our community. Just to give you a little bit of an update from the city of Kaiser, I think most of you are aware that we did swear in our new chief of police. Andrew Copeland has assumed the reins at Kaiser Police Department, and he is doing a fabulous job leading our team for public safety in our community. He partners, and our entire police team partners with Marion County Sheriffs and Salem Police in bringing public safety services to our entire community. So congratulations to Andrew Copeland and also to our Kaiser Police Department team. If you aren't subscribed to their Facebook page or to the website, please do so. They have a lot of news to help keep people safe in our community, and a lot of outreach going on. There's an event at Plaza Morelia, south part of River Road in Kaiser at the end of the month, and everybody's invited to join in that outreach morning with our Kaiser Police. Couple other things that are happening this weekend is the Kaiser Community Library book sale is going right now over at the Kaiser Civic Center, and yesterday was a big day, but there's still a lot of great bargains, a lot of great reads available for you, because with this weather, you've got to have some good reads to enjoy on a rainy day. So get over to the Kaiser Civic Center and support our Kaiser Community Library. Wanted to let you know that on the city side, I was elected to the board of directors for the Oregon Mayors Association. So I wanted to share a little bit about that. And I was very excited to be able to join this team for the Oregon Mayors Association. This is an association for all 241 cities in Oregon. And it's the first time, at least in recent memory, that a Kaiser mayor has served on that board. So I'm excited to join that team. I have served in the past on the League of Oregon Cities Board of Directors, and I'm currently on 2 policy committees, that's transportation and community development, and I've applied to continue that service. Kaiser's voice is really important in how we craft our policies for the state and how we engage with our legislature and with the state government. So excited to be part of that decision making for our state. Couple of proclamations for this month. It is Domestic Violence Prevention Awareness Month, and we encourage everybody to look up more about the work of the Center for Hope and Safety and for domestic violence prevention in Kaiser. It is a proclamation I issue each year, and Jane Downing, from the executive director from the Center for Hope and Safety, said it is so important to keep reminding people that this proclamation, while it feels like a piece of paper, is actually a whole lot more. She said that it really makes a difference in helping people know that domestic violence prevention is real, it is pertinent, it is important, and we want to empower everyone who has concerns, doubts, or feels unsafe in their homes to be able to know that we are on their team and we will help bring an end to domestic violence in every home in our community. Another proclamation for this month was for disability employment. And this has been ongoing, this work has been ongoing for decades. And we want to make sure that all employers are enabled, empowered, and aware of the tremendous talent pool available to us with people with different abilities and disabilities, that we should not discount somebody because of a presupposition, but include people for employment in our community. But I also want to give a big shout out to the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. Recently, we were awarded an additional $850,000 to meet the needs for emergency shelter and rapid rehousing in our community. Earlier this year, Governor Kotek designated $10.4 million to our two-county alliance, Marion and Polk counties. And in adding this an additional $850,000, she recognized that the service providers and partnerships in our two-county area are delivering on the targets that were set for our work to end and prevent homelessness. On the prevention side, we are already at 155% of our targeted goal, and we're not done. More and more people are benefiting from the dollars and programs to prevent eviction. On the rapid rehousing, we have several projects that are under construction, some that have already been able to bring people into housing, and we have some that are now going to be able to absorb the additional $850,000 to rapidly rehouse more people. On the emergency shelter side, we also have projects that are under construction, especially want to highlight Safe Sleep, which is a project in partnership with United Way and several of our service organizations. So look up United Way and Safe Sleep, also Cottages United, also Sequoia Crossing, which is a project under Salem Housing Authority, Arches, which is Community Action Agency, and so many more partners that will have 60 housing units for families. It's because all of you are working hard to make sure that we are offering meaningful and effective services to bring people off the streets into the navigation center, low barrier shelters, and connect with services across our two-county regions. I am so gratified to be part of a community that's taking action for dignity and respect and end and prevent homelessness. Please look up, and I'll pop on the screen later and in the chat, the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance. So that's a few of the highlights that are happening here in the city of Kaiser. And I'll bring up to date on some other things in a little bit. But I want to go to Pastor Jose Dominguez to bring us an update on community and then to introduce our guest today, Anthony Belize. Pastor Dominguez.
Yes, good morning. Beautiful morning this morning. Just wanted to just share some things on education. There's going to be some community dialogues in various high schools, and quería compartir, va a haber unos diálogos comunitarios durante el mes de octubre, al final de octubre. In fact, the 23rd of October, in Sprague High School, there will be a conversation, and we want to encourage parents, want to encourage especially the Latino parents. Queremos animar a los padres latinos que vayan a esas conversaciones, que participen, that they would participate, that we would participate, and that we would cooperate with the different things that will be presented. But not only that, no solamente eso, pero tenemos una voz para compartir a los oficiales de la escuela. We have a voice that we can share with the people, directors, the high school staff, the people that will be there regarding education, to share some of the things, how we would like to see some things happen in our schools. And so, as you can see, it's on the screen. And there's many more. There's also a Spanish side. There it is right there. Como puede ver en la pantalla, especialmente aquí en McNary High School, el 30 de octubre 2023 en la Escuela Preparatoria de McNary, Todas las sesiones se llevarán a cabo de 6 a 7:30. They'll be happening from 6 to 7:30. And we'd like to just encourage you to come out as a parent. Les animamos que vengan y sean parte y contribuyen y sean parte de la escuela de sus hijos. Eso es bien importante. Claro que la educación empieza en la casa. Obviously, education begins in our homes, but this also helps to get connected with the different schools that the children belong to. So I just wanted to share that. Quería compartir eso. Also, just like to share, we had our gathering, our Hispanic Heritage Month event that was such an awesome event. We had people from different cities. We had people from Hermiston. We had people from Portland, obviously Salem, Woodburn, and different areas. It was a nice time to meet professional Latinos in the different cities that are making a difference, that are touching their communities. But we also had our guest speaker who encouraged us, and it doesn't come to my mind now. I can't remember, Anthony, if you could kind of help me with that. But he was an amazing speaker and encouraged us to reach our destiny, to go forward, to make a difference in our communities. But that was a great event, and Anthony and his team, they put that together. They do a great job every year. Every year it seems like it's getting better, and every year there are new community partners that come and participate in that great event. It was at the conference center. It was a time to reflect on the different things that are being done and the different things that will be done. But also, and I think that's it for me today. Gustaría compartir con ustedes. Anthony Vélez es el presidente cofundador de Poder. Anthony Vélez is the president, the co-founder, or the founder of Poder. And it's an amazing story of how that all came together. And I'm going to allow Anthony to share that. Es una historia muy sorprendente cómo todo esto empezó. So without any ado, Anthony Vélez with us. Thank you, Anthony.
Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Mayor, for having me here. So I'm going to share a PowerPoint presentation and continue my remarks. So hopefully this will work out and you can all say, yes, I see that. Hopefully you see that. Let me just
yes, I see that.
View. Yep, I'll put it on slide view. There we go. All right. Well, good morning, buenos días a todos. Mi nombre es Anthony Vélez. Good morning, my name is Anthony Vélez. And I'm here, again, thank you everybody for being here this morning. Just a real quick question. How much time do I have? I just want to make sure I stay on your watch.
About 15 minutes.
Okay.
Would that work for you?
That's perfect.
20.
All right, thank you so much. So Poder Oregon's Latino, I'm here representing Poder Oregon's Latino Leadership Network, and I'll address some of the comments that Jose mentioned, but I wanted to let you know that Poder is an Oregon story. It's a story that has, we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization, but it's literally a lifetime and decades in the making. And I'm telling this story from my perspective because since I founded it, I think it has a lot to do with my journey in life. And what you see here in these photos is kind of where all of this started, this activism started for me in the early 1970s. You know, we were, my family's arrived in Woodburn, Oregon in 1943, and we're 5 generations now. But more than that, you know, we knew that my dad and a group of farm workers and others knew that the only way out of the fields was into the classroom. So in their great wisdom, they said, hey, well, why don't we start a college? And they actually did start a college called Colegio Cesar Chavez. So on December 12th, 1973, on the grounds of the monastery in Mount Angel, Colegio Cesar Chavez was born. And this college was the first Chicano Latino, a 4-year accredited institution in U.S. history. So it was way ahead of its time. I was a young boy at that time, but as my stories that my dad tells me that we had a really great governor that helped us, Governor Vicatia, who had a fondness for farm workers, and he was able to help us. So what you see are those pictures up there are literally Cesar Chavez in Mount Angel during that whole ribbon cutting ceremony. The gentleman in the middle was a student of Colegio and a really, really good friend of my parents named Cipriano Ferrell. Cipriano was inspired by Cesar and Dolores Huerta and the work that they did. And he got this, literally this seed planted in his head to start a union here in Oregon, and which we all know as PACUN. And PACUN is in Woodburn. It's been in existence probably for like 50 years. And when I was a young man, Cipriano would pick me up and take me to here and there and help me. I'd help him make boycott signs, all kinds of stuff. But I just, as an adult, I realized that he was mentoring me. And so I'm really honored and blessed to have Cipriano have been my mentor, literally to the day he passed away when I was in college and graduate school in Rhode Island. And the pictures below is a representation of Salud Medical Center, because out of, again, one of those, and during those times, a lot of farm workers didn't have healthcare, and we took it upon ourselves to provide healthcare for our people. And Salud Medical Clinic, which has been in Woodburn now for like 50 plus years, was born. Coincidentally, my mom was the first employee ever hired by Salud. So it's really interesting. I have to tell you, when I talk about Seeds Planted, my dad was class when they started that college on December 12th, 1973. Half the people that had advocated to help start that college couldn't even attend that college. They didn't even have a GED. So they had to scramble and get their GED to actually attend the college that they actually started. So my dad is a retired teacher from the Salem Kaiser School District. And my mom and I were talking the other day about how many educators do we have in our family because of that decision for their decision to push my dad forward to get an education. And so currently today we have 38 superintendents, principals, administrators, K-12 administrators, and teachers from just my dad's decision. And there's more along the way. So that's pretty cool, I think. Let me see if I can shift this, hopefully. Oops, there you go. So, again, all of those experiences as a young person really just like fired me up and made me who the person I am. This is just a collage of a few things that I've done growing up in Woodburn and Oregon. I think the latest, my latest project is on the left side. That is going to be a $60 million community center. Woodburn is the largest city in Oregon without a community center. That community center, where that's located in Settlemyre Park, if any of you have been to downtown Woodburn, it's like on the south side. That was my backyard the first 37 years of my life. And literally my mom and dad told me that they took me when I was like literally a day old or two to that park. So I've been going to that park my entire life, if you guys know that park. But I mean, the little story about that is that, that park was originally just like a swimming pool and had a chain link fence around it. I remember growing up on days like this or hotter days during the summer, getting up at 4 a.m, going to work at 5 to like 6, coming home, hearing all the kids make the noise, jumping in the pool. I'd change, run over there, grab that chain link fence. I'd be running back and forth. We didn't even have the quarter for me to go into that pool early in life. But the good story is that now that's an aquatic center. It's fully enclosed, and I'm a member, and I go swimming like almost every day. Isn't that crazy how you always want what you don't have? And so that's at least a little bit about some of the stuff that I've done over the years. More recently, the work that I've done and really our community. I don't know if any of you have heard of BBC, but it's kind of like it's a global communications network. And Analia Llorente, is a reporter out of actually Florida, was doing some Google search, and she said my name just kept coming up. And she says, you know what? She contacted me and heard about all these things that I have done. And she goes, I want to do a story on you and your community. So this right here is a story of our community in Woodburn and people that have made contributions. And there's so many more. Can't even begin. You know how when you start trying to name everybody, you just can't, because it's just so many. But it's beautiful. There's our former state representative, Teresa Alonso Leon, our soccer team, which is soccer's king in Oregon, our pride and joy, and our mariachis. The Woodburn High School mariachis is the first high school mariachi in Oregon history, and so we're really proud of that. So these are some of the things that, living up in a community and advocating, some of the things that have been growing here in our humble community. So my real job, what I really do for a living, because that is a volunteer community-based organization. I own two companies. One is ESO Public Relations and Marketing. So we're a full-service marketing agency. And then I'm a partner in Oyen Emotional Wellness Center. We're Oregon's only bilingual, bicultural behavior and mental health private company. We have contracts actually with the Salem Kaiser School District, and we see patients, especially Spanish-speaking patients, all over the state of Oregon. And that's been, I think, a major contribution to our community. And we're really proud of the work that we are doing right now. So as you all know, mental health is huge. And it's even harder to get services if your monolingual first language is Spanish. So PODED, let me tell you about PODED. So PODED, literally, it started like this. I was sitting on March 20th, 2020. I was sitting in my home, literally right here. And the pandemic hit all of us. And I knew instinctively, having been from Woodburn and, obviously around the Latino community my entire life, that it was going to impact us, and it certainly did. The pandemic, hit the community hard. We're about 12% of the population, and but at this peak, we were 40% of all deaths and 40% of all cases. And during this collective movement, death came to my door. So it's really kind of an interesting time. Advocating for everybody, right? Your family, your community, your neighbors, your region, state, and then having that happen to me, right? But originally, when we started this, we wanted to help like the most vulnerable, and we did. The undocumented, the indigenous Mesoamericans, the immigrants, the sick, the poor, the homeless, the hungry, the incarcerated, and the invisible, right? And thousands of Latinos across the state of Oregon. What we did is we began to organize. We started hosting these PODED statewide town halls. We held them every Wednesday from 12 to 1 for 2 years straight. At bringing, for example, Senator Merkley, Governor Brown, anybody and everybody who we could get to meet with us and advocate this movement, because that's what it was. It was just a collective movement. There was no structure behind it. At its peak was over 100 community-based organizations participated, and thousands of Latinos in the public and private sector. And we advocated for all Latinos in Oregon. One of the things that came about is that, the thing that we advocate a lot is for equitable representation and equitable distribution of resources. And what we found out, being one of the largest ethnic groups in Oregon, if not, we are the largest, actually 25%, that we really didn't have a voice, and we felt that we were invisible. And so we really took this opportunity to kind of put ourselves front and center, because one of the things that's really unique about Latinos and its population, it's huge all over the state of Oregon. If you go to Eastern Oregon, Ontario, Oregon, it's 40%. Go to Hermiston, 40%. Stanfield, 70%. Woodburn, we all know, is huge. Salem Kaiser, probably half the population. You go to anywhere in the coast, we're in double digits all over the state of Oregon. But when you looked at the representation of decision makers and the distribution of resources, you wouldn't really know it. So again, these are the two things that we all came together to advocate for, was that equitable investment in the Latino community during the pandemic. And that there was this whole nothing about us without us kind of when it came to decisions that we made. These are the areas that we originally focused on. Obviously, we're in a pandemic: healthcare, education, small businesses, housing, employment, community-based organizations that were helping Latinos, were just overwhelmed. They were overwhelmed already. I mean, we all became overwhelmed, especially these smaller CBOs. It was a lot, right? And so not only was it a pandemic, I mean, if you think about it, it was a pandemic, George Floyd, the wildfires, winter storm, and the vaccine. So we advocated through that entire process. We hosted town halls. We actually had a statewide summit that was online. Again, we created a website, newsletter, social media. One of our really exciting moments was when we were able to earn a $5 million Oregon Health Authority equity grant. And I always have to give a shout out to Leanne Johnson, who works for the Oregon Health Authority, because during that time, I mean, there was really no resources for people of color or disadvantaged groups. And I know she put this like $67 million package together. And along the way, I can imagine how much pushback this was, right? And so I always want to give her respect and honor her, because when you're in the inside in some of these institutions, these agencies, there's a lot of bureaucracy, right? And politics, as we all know. And she was able to do that. So we used the money, and I'll get it in more detail about what we did. We created Oregon's first bilingual, bicultural behavior and mental health traveling team. We went all over the state of Oregon and all corners, and we provided services to undocumented immigrant, anybody that needed our service, we provided. We bought thousands of Chromebooks. We started the first digital equity traveling team. And basically what that is we would go to, like, they say Talent or Phoenix, Oregon, right there, burned to the ground, right? So we went there and set up shop and met with people that needed our services. Most of them, if not all, didn't have any access to technology. So we literally took a Chromebook, opened the box up, charged it, showed them literally, here's how you plug it in. I mean, things that we just take for granted. When people have never had technology, it's amazing. And we literally showed them how to turn it on. And you know what? The most empowering thing, I think the biggest message we heard from everybody is when they got their first Gmail. Because I don't know if you remember this, but if you didn't have access to technology, you were basically locked out of society, because we were all sitting like this, right? You couldn't go into a doctor's, you couldn't go anywhere, and you couldn't go into your bank. You couldn't make pay a bill, reservation, anything, right? You couldn't do it. So a lot of Latinos were locked out of this, and by providing them technology and a 90-day hotspot, we were able to help them not only with their behavior and mental health that day, but beyond. So we actually showed them how to use Zoom, which is pretty cool. And we provided up to 10 free at no cost follow-up sessions. I want to tell you a little story. Well, it's just real brief that since we started this program, we've had over 37 suicide assessments. And I'm happy to say that we are still continuing to work with the 37 people. And so when this whole thing started, it was about the pandemic, but as life happens, right? This journey of life, things just happened that you would never think that, right? That was part of the reason why this is going on. We conducted a research program on the impacts of COVID-19 during this journey with OSU, PSU, and others. We bought 1 million masks. You know what? It's at that time when countries were buying billions of masks, it was hard to find 1 million masks, because that was like small. Like, is that it? And so nobody wanted to sell us 1 million masks because everybody was buying like hundreds of millions. But we finally did it, and we worked with community partners to distribute 1 million masks to our most vulnerable communities. Those probably unlike all of us here that had to continue to go outside and work and expose themselves to the virus, right? So, and then one of the things that I'm real proud of is, since I'm a marketing communication, I led the statewide multilingual prevention and education campaign. And so we did it in 5 languages: Spanish, Purépecha, Zapoteco, Mam, and Mixteco. Those are indigenous Mesoamerican languages. This may have been the first multilingual campaign in US history, because I looked and I've never seen anybody run a campaign in indigenous Mesoamerican at this scale. So we're really proud of that. So Poder, I'll fast forward to today. Well, let me give you a little history of where the Latino community has come from. So this right here, actually that little building on the right is Pecun. That doesn't exist there anymore, but that was the first building. But looking at the population in 1980, we were at 65,000, only 2.5%. In the 90s, we grew like 70%. And to 112,000. That looks like the back of my dad's truck. Yeah, it was crazy. I'm like scorned. I never want to be in the back of a truck anymore, because my dad, we used to go in a truck exactly like that, drive all the way to Texas in the summer, throw me and my sister in the back. I told my dad, I'm surprised you didn't find his dad in the back, because driving through the desert at 101, trust me, there's no AC back there. But anyway, I digress. But And now today, Latinos are the youngest and fastest growing. The overall population is, grew by 31%, and we're actually now up to like 14%. And that number in 2010 is now at 450, is up to 600,000. I think by the end of this decade, Latinos will be 1 million in Oregon. So as you probably all know, the rising of our cultural power, you see it everywhere, with murals and music and food and all kinds of stuff. So we're becoming more of the mainstream. Obviously, a lot of small businesses, you got a lot of small businesses in Kaiser, and that's we're thriving. Just so you know, Latinas are the growing businesses faster all across America, including Oregon. And that's a whole niche, a group that needs to be served, just the nuances of being a Latina business owner. And now today, we have the most Latino public elected officials in Oregon's history. And these are just a handful of them. Even this past year, we had 2 Latinos ascend to the US Congress, which was, wow, amazing. So there's more to come, right? So this is, a lot of these folks here attended our PODED, town halls over 2 years. And I think they were a little inspired by our work. And it really was great to see that they stepped up to serve our community and continue, to help all Oregonians. So PODED, Jose mentioned in closing, we had the 14th annual Hispanic Heritage Breakfast and Summit this year. And my good friend, who I've known for like 15 years, Richard Montanez, was our keynote speaker. He's invented hot Cheetos, and they recently made a movie about him called Flaming Hot. And I was telling him, you're like the wealthiest person that I know with the 4th grade education, because hot Cheetos is a multi-billion-dollar business now. And I tease him. I go, when's the last time you looked at your bank account? Yeah, it's been like 10 years. And I believe it, right? When you invent something like that. And you know what, and he's known, just so you know, as the godfather of Hispanic marketing, because now if you look at a lot of products, they put a lot of like Latino flavors in them, whether it's alcoholic or not, Modelo, right? Or whether it's food, chips and salsa have passed hot dogs in all major sporting events across the country. And so you see the influence of Latino community, and he's one of the people that had that vision. In a few weeks, the Portland Trailblazers are going to honor PODED for the work that we've done. They have their Hispanic and Latin and Heritage Month, and they're starting to promote it. And so if anybody's around on Sunday, November 5th, we'll be at the Portland Trailblazers game, and we'll be honored there and doing a 50-50 raffle. Nonprofits always need to raise money, right? And but it's really truly an honor. And I just want to finally leave you that though I'm the one presenting today, I feel like I'm just a humble servant, that was fortunate to be able to work with a lot of amazing people to kind of get to this point. And more recently, again, the United Way provided us with a $140,000 check to continue our work with working with small business and develop a statewide business association. So I thank, former Representative Clem and the United Way for their gracious and gratitude and their generosity for the work that we're doing. So moving forward, here's what we want to do. We're a statewide convener. Our big vision is to create associations in every single type of like healthcare, education, business, leadership, on and on and on, housing, and build that and come together annually or more so that we can empower our community and do that networking. We're going to start a learning lab, which is basically a think tank, a research center. Obviously, health is our core, and we're going to start doing some nonpartisan voter registration. So there's a lot to come. All this said, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you may have. But again, PODED is an Oregon story, and I would say just the first few chapters have been written, and so there's more to come. Gracias.
Muchísimas gracias. Thank you so much, Anthony. Really appreciate just learning so much about Poder and also about the growth and the vitality of our Hispanic community here in our Mid-Willamette Valley in Oregon. I'm going to open up to folks on the Zoom here today. If you have questions or comments or just anything, just unmute and jump in.
Yeah. Excuse me. I have to say that was great. I have no idea how broad Poder is, and I had really just recently heard about it. So I'm delighted to be better educated on that, and certainly applaud the work not only that you've done, but you want to do in the future. And I look forward to hearing more about it. Unfortunately, I haven't had a chance to visit with my friend Jose recently, or I would have probably learned more about it, I suspect.
No, thank you, Betty. Poder is, like I said, an Oregon story, and the name is new in the organization, but the people that have been doing this, they're like me. They've been here generations, and they've been advocating for decades and lifetimes, right? So we're just actually, kind of collect, like herd the cat, so to speak, at a statewide level, and that whole strength in numbers, right?
Right.
Well, you got to give a shout out to one of our board members, Tomas Flores. He's a Kaiser resident, lives right across the street from McNary. And he's been there with me. Actually, he's my best friend. He's been with me forever, and I was dragging him into all this stuff. So Tomas, if you're listening and watching, thank you, appreciate. And he's one of the most amazing individuals. Him and his wife Fabiola and their children are amazing, and they're public servants way beyond what I do. So I'm just the humble servant, like I said, and the messenger.
Well, I think the opportunity you took or whatever to bring so many people together has really made the difference, because the little groups here and there we're doing good work. I think that's an important thing to acknowledge, but by kind of networking them in a way, I think multiplies what they're able to do substantially. So I think what you've done is just pretty remarkable, actually.
Thank you.
Anthony, thank you for being on Coffee with Cathy today, and just sharing what's happening in the Hispanic community, in the Latino community, and how all of these professional Latinos from different walks of life you've been able to bring them together with your team, and they've been able to see the need. And now we're through Poder, we are beginning to lay the vision, as you have already said. The vision is laid out, but the beauty of this is that, like you said earlier, there's been people that have been doing this for a long time, and have been in the trenches, have been working really, really hard, and now they're able now to see what they've been doing. The seeds that they've planted are starting to come to fruition, and that's an amazing thing. And so I have two questions. If somebody's interested, Anthony, in giving to Poder, they just call the number and to give to the nonprofit organization.
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Yeah, we have a website. I can put in the chat. It's poderoregon.org, and we're actually just about to put that button in next week. So, but you can go to the website, register for our newsletter. And Jose, I definitely want to acknowledge. I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. For example, the founders of that colegio. Just so you know, that colegio, when it existed in 10 years, there was more Chicano Latino students that had gone to school and graduated from there than there was at Oregon State, University of Oregon, and Portland State combined from 1973 to 1983. That's kind of mind-boggling if you think about it. The exciting news that I want to share with you on Tuesday, December 12th, which is literally the 50th anniversary of the Colegio Cesar Chavez, we are going to be convening. I call them the OGs because they're the original founders. They're in their 80s, by the way. And we celebrated the 50th in August at the site of the former colegio. But but we're coming together because we're talking about Colegio 2.0. And they, you know, I tell them, wow, you did something, because if you think about it, farm workers had no business starting a college. They didn't even have the education, you know, none of them did, that they aspired. They didn't even know what college was. But they did it 50 years ago. Fast forward today, si se puede, anything's possible, right? And now, you know, 50 years later, we have a lot of people that are interested in starting Colegio 2.0. And I think that's going to happen. It'll probably happen more virtually at the beginning, and then eventually it'll be a brick and mortar. But super exciting on December 12th. So we're going to have that conversation, and then also celebrate what would have been the 50th anniversary.
Yeah, Anthony, that was a great event out in Mount Angel. Thank you for getting your team to put that together. We were there, both my wife and I were there. We were educated on the perseverance, on the challenges that Colegio Cesar Chavez had during that time. I have a little bit of an interest in there. My sister actually went to Colegio Cesar Chavez when it started, and would talk about those educators who were there. But kind of changing the subject a little bit. For example, Anthony, if there's like a mental health issue, or there's somebody needs services and needs an attorney that would speak in Spanish, or a psychologist or a counselor, because one of the difficulties, as you know, Anthony, and some of our people here, one of the difficulties is getting Latinos, Hispanic people, to understand basically what is going on, whether it's with their health care, whether it's with a legal issue, or whether it's even something at school. And so it's so important that we make those connections with people in the community that are working in those various areas, to be able to help the families, to be able to serve the families, so that they can get a better understanding of how they can conduct their parenting with their children, or conduct a lawsuit if one needs to be done, or they're getting sued, all of that kind of stuff. So how would somebody access maybe a directory of some kind that we could call someone and ask if they would be willing to serve this family?
Most certainly they could contact BODED. You know, we have a website, we have a phone number. We're right now, you know, we're a nonprofit, we're scaling up, but they can most certainly reach out to them or me, and then we would definitely connect them. Because again, we have this huge special statewide network. You know, speaking of like who to call, we're actually in the process of starting a Latino healthcare providers association. So what does that mean? That means every doctor, nurse, mental health, any specialist that's bilingual, bicultural, or at least bilingual, right? Don't have to be Latino. We'll have them in an association, so that we'll start building that. That's like even within healthcare, another piece that we're doing. And so, because there's a big need, right? And so I think we're kind of the tip of the spear, so to speak, and then our funnel. And when information comes to us, we can get to a lot of people, and we have professionals everywhere that are, you know, the thing about us, and especially Jose and probably maybe others that are watching this, you know, Latinos, man, you know, we have our job, but we end up doing a lot of other stuff, you know, and that we gladly do that. That's part of who we are, our culture, and some of it that comes through our faith, some of it comes through our public service, and just who we are and how we were raised to be just really public servants and serve while we have our little time on this earth. So we're more than happy to help.
Well, Anthony, we're thankful to hear what Poder is doing, what Poder is planning to do. It's exciting to see that people's needs are going to be met, and that you know, people will, with this directory, this medical directory. Wow, that's first time I think it's ever.
Well, it doesn't exist.
Yeah, it's first time. It's never existed. And could you imagine having one for attorneys in Spanish, and dentists, and all these kinds of needs that need to be met? Because many of us that speak English, we're fluent in English. It's easy for us to get services because we're able to communicate what we need, what's going on. But as we've heard, there are people that can't communicate in the language, and this will be a great help.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so informative, and I hope that folks who have been watching online and who will watch this broadcast, I've been putting into the Facebook feed links to many of the organization's events and so forth that are coming up. So as people are following this program, they can click on those and learn more. A little story that goes with that ability to communicate. Many, many years ago, my father was at a car dealership and trying to explain to someone in the parts department or service department what to do to take care of a problem he was having with his vehicle. And he began to realize that the person in the shop was English was a second language. My father was fully bilingual. In Spanish was my father's first language. Switched over, started communicating in Spanish. Boom, totally understood. Yes, I understand what you need. And the manager for the parts and service department just looked in amazement, because back then, this was over 50 years ago, that was not common to acknowledge and to speak in both languages. And I watched in amazement as they very quickly came to an understanding, fixed the problem, all done. But my father made sure to tell me this story to honor and respect the need to be able to communicate in a way, not that I want to express myself, but the way that I will be understood.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I would just want to leave one more thing, because I get to do this a lot, but I wanted to give you an inside after the colegio. This is Sunday by myself, what leadership really looks like. And that's it. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Let me show you another. Let me show you something. I hope you can see that.
Yep.
See, people don't really realize what it really takes to change the world,
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it takes this, right? And people will never, ever, but I want to share that with you because I know Jose, knows what it is. And that right there is Latino community, because we're going to do, even me, right? I mean, not that I'm special, but I'm the one that put that on. I mean, if anybody was tired, right? Could have been me. That was the next day by myself in that building. I mopped that whole floor. And again, this is not about me, but what I'm saying is that it takes a lot to change the world, which I know all of you do. And I know if you guys each had a camera, you could probably have a picture of that moment, right? When nobody else is around and you're thinking, wow, man, is this worth it? Kind of like, you're tired, right? You're kind of a little beat up. And but you kind of like, I don't know, you just get that spirit in you, right? And just keep going. And I thank God that my parents, planted that seed, and more than them, right? But to give me that strength to be able to be here literally 5 decades later and carry that torch, hopefully, and hand it off to the next generation. So thank you so much.
Well, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I am going to go now to Claire Duran, who is on the Kaiser Chamber Board. And the Kaiser Chamber has done tremendous work with community outreach and business support and so many community events. Claire, I'm gonna let you jump in and share about the Kaiser Chamber of Commerce.
Hello. So thank you so much, Anthony, for sharing. I didn't know any of that, everything you guys do. That's amazing to learn about. So thank you for everything you guys do. Everything I have is on my phone, so I'm going to switch over for a second just to read it. Hopefully you guys can still see me. We have, Corey wanted me to share about all of our holiday information, which Cathy, you said we're going to share next month, but I'll fastly recap everything we're going to have for December. First, we are canceling the Turkey Dash run that is on Thanksgiving morning. We as a board have decided to cancel that. So We only had a couple people sign up for that so far, so we're going to refund them their money on that. And then to start off December, we have the tree lighting on December 5th. And that's at Wallery Plaza at the Big Tree. And then we have the holiday giving program gift wrapping on December 6th at the Lions Club from 6 to 9. And then we have the No Giving Basket holiday gift wrapping on the next day, December 7th at the Lions Club from 6 to whenever we're done. And then the holidays lights parade is December 9th from 7 to 10, I believe. Yeah. And the theme is Joy to the World. So if you'd like to sign up and have a float, then you can contact Jill or Corey at the chamber. And that's all I have.
Okay, well, thank you so much. There's so much going on, lots of ways to get involved. I did want to do a little screen share with the Business Recovery Center. This is a wonderful partnership between Kaiser, Wilsonville, and Sherwood and Newburgh, and that has made a huge difference for businesses. And I want to give a big shout out to our Kaiser Chamber of Commerce, which was instrumental in helping put together this program and to share resources across all of these different chambers, because there's so much strength in working together. It was inspirational, and Fatima Falcon is doing a fantastic job working with that leadership team to provide services with the Oregon Business Recovery Center. So if you want to know more, go to their website. I believe I already put it into the Facebook stream so people can find out more. But I really want to highlight that. I think that was one of many efforts on the part of the Kaiser Chamber to make a difference for our businesses.
Yeah, we're very lucky to have Fatima be able to be with our chamber and the Wilsonville BRC. It's very, very nice of them to let us share her.
Yes. And then Betty, let's wrap up with you. There's so much going on with Kaiser Fire. And again, next month we'll highlight a lot of the holiday events, but the work proceeds for our public safety.
Yeah, so thank you very much, Madam Mayor. And I will say, kind of right at the top, the Kaiser Fire has finished up its 2022 annual report, and it's available online. If people want to get a paper copy, they can stop by the Kaiser Fire Station and pick one up. And it talks about a lot of things with respect to 2022, which, leads us into where we are today. One of the big takeaways, I think, is the call volume history and how that breaks out. So 2022 was the busiest year in Kaiser Fire history with respect to the number of calls. And nearly 80% of our calls are medical calls. A lot of people don't realize that, but everything from people having a heart attack or getting injured or whatever. And then there are service calls, which are about 9%. And those are helping somebody up who's fallen and can't get up themselves, needs extra help. And then also, or I don't know if they help get cats out of trees anymore, but it would come into that cat kind of category. And only 1% of our calls are due to fire. So that's a relatively small number when you think about it. So out of over 6,000 calls last year, I think less than 100 were about a fire that they needed to address. Of course, when fire comes, it's really important to be on top of it. And then the remaining calls tend to be false calls. So that's like somebody called thinking they needed help, and it turned out that by the time our people got there, they had it fixed, whatever was going on, or they called back and said, I'm sorry, we don't need your help after all. Those kinds of things happen. But the big thing about that is not only was it busy this year, but since in the last 10 years, our call volume has increased by 73%, which is a huge amount. Especially, which leads me right into where we are with respect to the election that's coming up on November 7th. So the current operating levy expires next June. And so we are bringing to the voters a new Kaiser Fire levy. They have to be voted on by the voters every 5 years. So in this case, we are asking for more than we had in the past. In fact, 59 cents per thousand has been our levy for the last 10 years. And now we're going to ask for 99 cents per thousand. So that's actually a relatively small amount. It's like under $8 a month per household with an average assessed value, excuse me. So I encourage people not only to vote, but to vote yes for the Kaiser Fire levy. And I have completed my ballot and plan to drop it off at City Hall today when I go down to work at the library book sale that goes on until 4 o'clock this afternoon. So we do have some fun things coming up. Specifically on the 31st is trick or treat at the station. It'll start somewhere about 5:30 when the kids start showing up. So kids who are out doing trick or treating can stop by the station and get treats there too. So that's a lot of fun, I think, for both the community and for our staff. Seeing kids in costume is just a hoot as far as I'm concerned. Anyway, and then so I hope people will take the time to look over it with your ballot. This time is the actual information about the measure, and take the time to look that over. If you've been on Facebook, you've seen a few of our a few people promoting the ballot measure, and there's more information as such on the Kaiser Fire website. So it's kaiserfire.com. And of course, I'd be remiss if I didn't say, please vote yes. Anyway, and I'd like to go on and talk about the library a little bit. I'm pleased that you mentioned the book sale, because that's obviously important. I want to talk a little bit about November, though, because November is National Novel Writing Month. Some people might want to start writing a novel by telling their life story, because how true it ends up being is up to you, of course. But anyway, that was my joke. So every Saturday in November from 2 to 4 p.m., there'll be write-in sessions at the Kaiser Community Library. So if people are actually writing a novel, they can come to the library. There'll be some people there to ask questions, help you get your creative juices flowing in terms of thinking about how to put together your plot or your storyline or whatever you're working on. And so for those who are interested in writing a novel, this is a great opportunity to do that. There is information about the National Novel Writing Month, which is NaNoWriMo, which is the abbreviation for National Novel Writing Month. And so this is the information about what's going on at our library. And there is a website available for specifically for National Novel Writing Month that people can check into as well. And then we have, of course, our regular events. Spanish story time for families are still Tuesday at 6 p.m. and preschool story time are Wednesdays at 10:30 a.m. We have game night the third Monday at 5:30 p.m. at Chess Club on the second Saturday at 10 a.m. And we do have somebody who is available to help people who are doing ancestry research. They can just come to the library on, I think it's the second and fourth Mondays at 5 p.m. And there'll be someone who has expertise in that area there who can assist them in how to look for things, document what they find and that sort of thing. So a lot goes on at the library. We think often of it as books, but there isn't a library that anymore in the world. I think it's just books. It's got a lot of other stuff that goes on too.
Well, thank you so much. This has been so wide-ranging and a great conversation today. Claire, I'm totally distracted by your cat above your head.
I know, he likes to steal the show. Sorry.
Yeah, just kind of perched there. But all kidding aside, I really want to say thank you to all of you for being on the program today, for sharing wonderful information and conversation amongst us, but also with our entire community. Wrapping up today for Coffee with Cathy for the October edition. I want to thank Pastor Jose Dominguez from Lucid Valle Church, Claire Duran from the Kaiser Chamber Board of Directors, Betty Hart from the Kaiser Fire District Board of Directors, and our special guest today, the founder of Poder, Anthony Veliz. Thank you all so much for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful day.
Gracias.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you.
Kathy,
Thanks, Kathy. That's great.
Kathy, I gotta run. I got a
All
meeting
right.
and I gotta run too, but thank you very much.